The capital's shadow. 3 days later, Washington, D.C. was a city of whispers. Officially, the collapse of a Detroit factory had been declared an industrial accident, a boiler explosion, no casualties reported. But beneath the polished veneer of press releases and government briefings, the truth churned restlessly. Entire blocks had been quarantined. Families quietly evacuated. Black SUVs prowled the streets at night, windows tinted darker than glass should allow. And at the heart of it all, in a secure chamber beneath the Pentagon, a war room buzzed with urgency. General Hayden slammed his palm against the polished oak table, silencing the chatter. He was broad-shouldered, his grey buzz cut matching the steel in his eyes. Enough. I want answers. Detroit wasn't an accident. Don't insult me with cover stories. What the hell ripped a hole in my country? A woman in a dark suit adjusted her glasses. Director Lawson of the CIA, every syllable measured. We are dealing with a paramilitary sect calling themselves the Black Sun. Their ideology is esoteric, but their capabilities are very real. Advanced weapons. Untraceable funding. And now, this breach in Detroit. Across the table, another man leaned forward. Dr. Alan Voss, physicist, consultant, and, though he wouldn't admit it, obsessive. What you saw in Detroit was not technology. It was dimensional resonance. A tear between realities. If it had fully opened, we'd be cleaning up a crater where Detroit used to be, Hayden finished grimly. Lawson slid a folder across the table. Inside were grainy surveillance stills, Ethan, Claire, Riley. Caught mid-battle, blood but identifiable. These three interfered. They are not operatives. Not government-trained. But they stopped the rift from consuming the city. We don't yet know how. Hayden frowned, studying the photos. Then they're either an asset or a liability. And I don't like liabilities. Ethan wasn't thinking about liabilities. He was thinking about coffee. The tiny diner on the edge of Georgetown smelled of burnt toast and fried eggs, the kind of place no one important would ever look twice at. That was why he'd chosen it. But even here, he felt eyes on him. Claire stirred her tea absently, her hand still shaky from Detroit. The obsidian shard rested on the table between them, wrapped in cloth. We can't keep running like this. Sooner or later, someone's going to connect the dots. They already have, Riley muttered from across the booth. He was staring through pancakes like a man who hadn't eaten in days. See that guy by the counter? Pretending to read a newspaper. His shoes cost more than this whole diner. Government spoke, guaranteed. Ethan didn't look, but he didn't need to. Riley was usually right about these things. Then we finished breakfast fast, Ethan said. Too late. The bell above the diner door jingled, and 3 men in black suits walked in, crisp and deliberate. They didn't order food. They didn't even glance at the menu. The man at the counter folded his newspaper, stood, and joined them. 4 suits. 1 goal. Claire's hand slid toward the shard. Ethan, easy, Ethan murmured. We don't want to level a diner full of civilians. The lead agent approached, flashing a badge. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Ethan Blake, Claire Hayes, Riley Cross, you're coming with us. Riley smirked, still chewing. Wow. Full names. Guess we are famous now. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, the agent said. His voice was calm, but his hand hovered near his sidearm. Ethan weighed the options. Running would cause panic. Fighting would expose them further. But surrendering meant losing control of the shard, and Marcus's legacy. He glanced at Claire, then Riley. Both nodded, subtle but clear. Ethan sighed. All right. We'll come quietly. For now. The black SUV purred along the Potomac, tinted windows sealing them from the outside world. 2 agents sat in the front, 2 in the back. Ethan, Claire, and Riley were wedged in the middle row, wrists bound by sleek magnetic cuffs. Riley leaned back, grinning. So, what do you think? Secret underground lab. Interrogation room with 1 way glass. Maybe they'll give us cookies. Shut up, Riley, Ethan muttered. Claire's gaze was fixed on the window, but she wasn't seeing the city. She was seeing Detroit, the skeletal arms, the hollow king's eyes, the leader's fanatical grin. They won't understand, she whispered. They'll think we're the threat. Ethan squeezed her cuffed hand gently. Then we make them understand. The SUV turned off the highway, descending into a restricted access tunnel beneath the Pentagon. Ahead, steel blast doors yawned open. And in the shadows beyond, the Black Sun was already waiting. The ambush was surgical. The moment the SUV cleared the blast doors, the world exploded. A concussion charge ripped the tunnel floor apart, flipping the vehicle onto its side. Alarms wailed. Concrete dust filled the air. The agents scrambled, shouting into radios. But the attackers were faster. Figures in black armor poured from the smoke, rifles glowing with the same unnatural hum as Detroit. Ethan's restraints deactivated in the chaos, courtesy of a well-placed shrapnel hit. He tore them free, yanking Claire and Riley upright. Move. Bullets screamed past. 1 agent went down instantly. Another fired wildly before being cut in half by a beam of black light. The Black Sun's leader stepped through the smoke, unscathed, his scar catching the emergency lights. His eyes locked onto Ethan with lethal intent. Round 2, he said softly.